Recently, World Champion Firebat returned to Hearthstone, and a question I've been getting a lot is Hearthstone actually worth your time in 2026? Whether you are a returning veteran or a brand new player, you might be surprised, because honestly, the game is the most free-to-play friendly it has ever been. I'm going to show you what has changed, what to avoid, and how to get a top tier deck without spending a dime. Now, first of all, depending on when you came back to the game, the gameplay is pretty different. No longer do decks run out of cards, fatigue matters. It's now all about swing turns. It's a big deal. No longer you have those incremental advantages you get over the game, and that results in a win. It's really all about swing turns. And what is said about value, yeah, value doesn't matter. For example, here we have a Toki Mage deck, which I really like playing, but it's pretty bad. And then we can see here a card like Toki. You get 3 spells for 3 mana. I mean, like a couple of years ago, this might have been absolutely busted, right? 3 mana, 3/3, and get 3 cards. But yeah, nowadays, this is really weak. So that's kind of showing how the game has changed. Currently, you can play a lot of different decks, aggro decks, combo decks, control decks. So there's something for everyone. Now, the main criticism I think most people right now have of this meta, that it's been pretty still for the past year or so. A lot of the same decks have seen play for a long time. But of course, if you are new or returning to the game, that is not an issue at all. So yeah, that the downside to the current meta is not there at all. And there isn't really one best deck that just dominates everything. So that is quite nice. Now, this is going to change with rotation, though, which is going to be probably in March with the new expansion. And yeah, that is a big deal with what you want to do when you return, is when is that rotation and what is it going to do? Now, first of all, rotation, it always happens with the first expansion of the year. And when that launches, the oldest 3 expansion will rotate. So right now we can check here in the bar here, we can see all those 3 expansions. What we have here: Wisbank's Workshop, Perils in Paradise, and The Great Dark Beyond. So those will be the oldest 3. Those will rotate with the next expansion, and then Emerald Dream, Lost City, and Time Waste will stay. So you can always check here what's going to rotate and what's going to stay. Most of the time during the year, the rotation is pretty far away, but once we get to 6 expansion is standard, like we are now, you really want to be thinking about it, about what you're going to be crafting, because you don't want to be crafting cards from these old expansions that you're only going to be using for a few months. That feels like a bit of a waste of dust, although some you might need for a specific deck, but you really have to keep that in mind if you have limited amounts of dust, because those cards will only stay in standard then for under 4 months. So what do you get when you come back to the game or are a new player? Well, first of all, you are getting catch-up packs, and these are pretty amazing because based on your collection, which is probably not going to be a lot if you're one of those players, is that you can get up to 50 cards from these packs. So you always want to open these packs as the first packs, because if you open other packs, then obviously there's going to be less cards in them. And if you have every card, those packs are just going to be normal packs. Now, what you'll also be getting as a returning player is a loaner deck. I think you get this at the end of the Apprentice track if you're a new player. And these loaner decks are really amazing, depending on which ones you get. Now, there used to be loaner decks that had a ton more legendaries, but right now I think every loaner deck just has 2 legendaries that you otherwise have to craft. So if you're seeing more legendaries, they're probably free legendaries, and you can't craft and have anyway. But yeah, these decks, they can be pretty nice. You can play with them for a week, and some are better than others. Right now, I think you can get this Demon Hunter deck, and it's actually pretty solid. It's pretty close to a viable ladder deck. And yeah, what you get, right, is 2 legendaries, the Eternal Hold, and you get the Brock Cigar. And you mostly want to look at what legendaries you're getting. The other cards are nice, and then depending on what rotates, some decks are better than the others. But this one I wanted to give an example right now is because it's mostly gonna stay in standard after rotation. So this could be a nice pick if you want to play some Spell Demon Hunter. And yeah, if after rotation is going to be other decks, you just want to look at those 2 legendaries. How good are they? Are they in many decks or just a single deck? And just, yeah, what's the value of them? That's what you want to be looking at. I'll try and have these videos about the loaner decks and what the best pick is. I'll try to have them up on my channel. And these loaner decks are just a really nice way to get started, get used to the game with trying some decks, while not actually having to craft anything for the first week. So now the question is, what are you going to do with your gold? Well, first of all, we got to go here. And the rewards track is where you get all your gold, and eventually yeah, all you get is gold, especially after you hit level 100. And then early on in the rewards track, you get some other cards. Like here, you get like a golden card and so on. And yeah, this is mainly where you get your gold from. And how you proceed there is, of course, clearing your quests. So you want to try and do every quest you have here and not waste any of them. And another thing that we always have is the extra events track here, where you also get some bonus stuff for free. And again, you gotta complete the quest here that I already have completed here to get these things. And here you get like packs, some epics, and sometimes there's just legendaries on here. So that can be a really nice free stuff. So again, try and complete these quests whenever you can. It really helps you build a collection. And another way to get XP for the regular rewards track is doing achievements. Now, some achievements, like here, collecting cards, does not get you XP for the rewards track, but some do. From all the expansion you can see here, you get 100 reward XP. So that's really nice if you want to complete some of these quests, like here, you hatch the egg of Kalos, and you get 200 XP, and that's pretty nice, because that basically translates into gold. And there's a lot of them here, I think, under gameplay, where you can get all of them. You can see here, all of these get the XP. So this can be a nice way if you want to knock these achievements out to get some extra gold from the rewards track. So what do you want to spend your gold on? Well, for that, we got to go to the shop here. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff to buy, especially paid stuff. But we want to go here, and then we go to, first of all, I think the mini sets is important. Now, the mini sets usually are the best deal for your gold, but it's only really worth it if you want just one of the legendaries. But it's a pretty amazing deal, because, for example, here, for just 2,000 gold, you get all these cards, and well, it says here, right, 72 cards, so that's a lot of cards, and it's always guaranteed for legendaries. Now, the issue here is that the legendaries for the most recent mini set, they don't really see a whole lot of play. So if you don't want to play them, it's not quite worth buying. But I always buy it, because there's always usually one legendary that sees play, and it's just a good investment, because even if they don't see play, you can disenchant all these cards for 400 dust, and that's almost worth the price by itself. So yeah, generally, if you just want one legendary, like we have some older mini sets, again, this is going to rotate, right? Great Dark Beyond is going to rotate, so don't buy the StarCraft mini set, but the Emerald Dream. For example, if you want to play Druid, well, you get to go to the normal, they bait you with the golden version. But if you want to go play Druid, you probably want Mirror Seal, and then you probably want to buy this mini set, because it's way better value than actually spending the dust to craft a Mirror Seal. And then what packs you want to get, so let's go to the packs. Now again, rotation is important, so like I said, all the 3 expansions are going to rotate, so these 3 will stay in standard, but then yeah, these 3, they're going to rotate. So yeah, I would not get those packs or those mini sets, but these packs, they're pretty much the same value, because they're going to rotate at the same time. So basically what you want to do is just look at what cards do you actually want from which expansion the most, and you just buy packs from that expansion that you want. There's one thing though, one trick is that you get a guaranteed legendary in your first 10 packs of every pack. So a golden pack is different from normal packs. So if you buy 10 normal packs, you get a guaranteed legendary in. So you probably want to be doing is get at least 10 packs from every set until you get the legendaries, and then move on to the next. And then after that, decide what you want to be doing here. I also got a separate video on how to best use your gold, where we go a little bit more in depth. And also don't forget, with the rotation again, when these old cards are going to wild, don't forget you can still disenchant these cards. If you don't play wild, yeah, there's no value in these cards, because I don't think Twist is ever coming back. So these wild cards have like very little value to no value. So that's a lot of dust if you still have those cards, or if you're a returning player from a long time ago, you probably still have a bunch of cards that you might want to be disenchanting, and then you get a ton of dust to craft new cards you want. And also, you saw earlier, Blizzard is now pretty generous with giving away packs, and that's because there is so much paid stuff now to buy. You just saw it already, but there are so many things you can buy now for money, and yeah, some are pretty pricey. I generally don't buy these things, they're way too expensive, but it does fun that you can actually get all those cards and packs for free, so that is quite nice. Now also, if you haven't been in Hearthstone for a while, you might see this weird little thing here. Those are runestones, and yeah, these are the in-game currency. And now you might think from other games, oh, that's some convoluted way to make you spend more money, but actually this is the fairest in-game currency I've ever seen, because literally one runestone is 1 cent, and there's never been any sale. You can see here you buy yeah, 1,000 runestones for 10 euros. It's just there for the Battlegrounds mode, where there's like very small things to buy. That's the only part when you can only pay with runestones, but besides that, yeah, you can pretty much just ignore these runestones. Now, as you saw earlier, the game is pretty free-to-play friendly, but it doesn't mean you can't speed up your collection by actually buying packs in the shop. Now, the best way to do it is just look through the shop. Now, everybody has a different shop, so that will be very different from yours. Now, these cards, of course, are not worth it if you just want to look at expand your collection. Now, I think the best way to find bundles that increase your collection the most is go here again, and we go to just for you. And then generally, I think here are the best bundles that you can get to increase your collection. Like here, it's a lot of money, 80 euros, but you get 95 packs and 4 random legendaries, and that's probably a lot more smaller bundles, but yeah, I got a pretty big collection here, so I think that's why there's not showing up a whole lot. But here you can check, there's usually smaller bundles as well. And yeah, those are the best deals if you want to spend money to get a better collection. Just avoid anything cosmetic, because you always pay more for that, and it just doesn't help your collection. And the last thing here I want to mention is the Dark Moon Fair. You already saw here, and we can go there. And now this Dark Moon Fair is a new gacha system, and yeah, you get one of these rewards whenever you roll. Now the first roll is free, so always use that free roll. And yeah, then probably you don't want to spend money after that, because yeah, it's going to increase in cost every roll. The total cost here you can check here is well, this plus 200, so 15,800 runestones is the total cost to get all of these rewards. So 158 euros or $158, and that is a pretty steep price. And yeah, this pet, I think 95% of the time you only get it at the last roll, so you have to spend the full amount of money. So generally you're just gonna get these packs, so don't expect anything from this, only if you really want all these cosmetics here, because it's definitely not worth it if you want to improve your collection. Also, Arena has changed quite a bit compared to a couple of years ago. Now there's two different arenas. First of all, we got the standard arena, where you either get 5 wins or 2 losses, and then you're out. Now the rewards aren't terrible, but yeah, you do get just the latest packs. So if you want other packs, then yeah, it's a pretty bad deal. If you have all the cards you want already from the set, it's not great. So yeah, just play arena if you want to play it. It's not a great way to get gold. And then the second arena we have here, we have to switch mode. I think you have to get 7 wins before you can do that. You get the underground arena, and this one is more expensive. It's 300 gold, and it goes to like the original arena, 12 wins or 3 losses. And then you can see here the rewards as well. And then you can sometimes get the crowd's fave, which is a very low chance to get the 1,000 extra gold. And you see the rewards here, and yeah, the reward for 300 gold, you get 2 packs. Not amazing. It's worth 200, so yeah, worst case, you kind of lose 100 gold, and then yeah, you can get huge rewards, of course. The 12 win rewards, you even get a skin now, and you get these other rewards, and the tavern tickets, just yeah, 2 tavern tickets. You get another underground run, so then you can just play again, and you see the rewards here again, just like the other arena run. Unless you consistently get really good wins, it's just something you want to play if you want to play the arena mode, not something to really gain packs or gold with. So, is it worth returning to the game? Well, I'd say yes. As I showed earlier, there is a lot of free stuff you get nowadays in Hearthstone, and that just makes it so that it's really easy to build quickly a top tier deck. And then once you keep playing, you can add multiple other top tier decks to that, and there's no pay to win mechanics, so you never feel like you lose just because your opponent spent more money. If you want to return, now is probably the best time in terms of timing, just before the rotation, because that means you can get a bit used to the game again, get some gold, and then once the new expansion launches, you can really immediately get going with a bunch of those new packs that you can buy with the gold you got. Now, you do want to avoid, though, again, is buying those old packs that are going to rotate soon. That's generally a good idea during the whole year to focus on newer cards, but especially now, when there's only a small amount of time left for some of the cards from the older sets. So right now, try to focus on a deck that is going to be surviving rotation. I have a full video on which decks are going to survive the rotation. And for example, a Dragon Warrior is great. It loses like 1 card, and it requires no legendaries. Like, it's better with like 1 or 2 legendaries, but they're not required to play the deck. So you can play that maybe, and then maybe another deck like that Spell Demon that I mentioned earlier, and then keep those decks going into the next expansion, and then yeah, also build some other decks with the gold and dust you have. That is not to say everything is great, of course, I already mentioned, but the meta can be pretty still, but I think that's not really a downside if you're coming back to the game. And it's partly because there's not been too many balance changes. I wish there were more, because we've had so few balance changes, the meta stayed pretty stale. And yeah, I feel like it could have been better. I think the same thing is for the arena, where yeah, there have been times where one class is completely overpowered or one class is completely unplayable. And well, I think recently they've had a lot of changes to the arena. And before that, I think it took quite a long time before anything changed. So that wasn't great for arena. And another problem we have in standard is that yeah, going first is way too strong right now. There's a lot of cards that are just way stronger going first. So that is a bit of an issue. Hopefully they'll solve it. So yeah, I think it's a good time to return. You just don't need to spend any money to see what the game is about. Now, if you want to learn more about how to use your dust and gold, I got 2 videos about those topics if you want to know more about that. I hope the video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and until next time.